that working? Definitely screen sharing.
I think Sam wants to share his screen for the slides. Oh no, yeah, you please
Yeah.
continue. Thank you.
Yep. Cool. Thanks. Thank you. Thanks for having me, and excited to be here. Um, Today, I'm going to be talking here about basically, I'm going to be talking um, about DeFi and centralized exchanges, and how they can work together, and basically what you can sort of accomplish when they each play sort of their important role in the ecosystem, and sort of what those roles are, and what that might look like going forward, and what role FTX might play in that. So yeah, my name is Sam, and I'm the CEO of FTX. FTX is a global derivatives exchange. In crypto, we have quarterly and perpetual futures, spot markets, leverage tokens, fiat on ramps, options, and a bunch more on a ton of different products in the cryptocurrency ecosystem. And we've also recently been sort of getting more involved in DeFi, and so I want to talk about what our experience there has been like, and what we see for the future here. Um, so, the first thing to note is that there's sort of different strengths and weaknesses of decentralized and centralized platforms in crypto. And, I think the big advantages of decentralized platforms is they're non-custodial, so you don't have to trust another party with your funds. They're permissionless, which means that you sort of, are guaranteed to be able to do what you're supposed to be able to do. And it's in fact provable that this is true. You can just look on chain at the code, for the platform, and figure out exactly how it works. And that's really cool and really powerful, and sort of a first in the world. Um, and it is sort of this, it's universal in a sense, because you don't have to rely on sort of outside communication. And it really does sort of work, sort of provably exactly as it's written. The big advantage that centralized exchanges have is that they're a lot more computationally efficient. And a computer just has a lot more power than current blockchains do. And so because of this, um, they're a lot faster. They're super customizable. They're really powerful. You can write a ton of different programs there, and just have a ton of flexibility in in what you express with them, and you have the power to just do a whole host of things on them. And the last thing is that because you retain control of the system, you can adapt, and both you can improve the product over time, but you can also adapt to new threat models, and attempt to sort of keep forming the product to make it as resilient as possible. Um, so over the last month or so, we've been launching a number of products in the DeFi space. We've launched a DeFi Index, which is a future which expires to sort of the average price of a whole lot of different DeFi products. And so it's a really cool way to get exposure to the entire DeFi sector at once, or hedge your exposure to the entire DeFi sector at once. We've also launched futures on Compound, on Balancer, Maker, and KNC, and a host of other products. And sort of at the same time, we know that Tron has been making some really exciting progress in the DeFi space. We have Tron listed on FTX, we have Tron futures, and we're excited to look into all the new products that are coming out and see how we can integrate those in as well to the exchange. And here you can see sort of the current DeFi Index, the various products in it. And yeah, it's basically just a super clean and easy way to get exposure to this whole set of things. And I think over time I've increasingly come to believe that both these models, sort of the centralized and decentralized models, have a lot of advantages, and both can play super important and cool roles in the world. And it's just a matter of sort of fitting them together in the right way, and making sure that sort of each is sort of accomplishing its biggest strengths. Um, and sort of talking about what might that split look like. Well, on the DeFi side, again, it's not super powerful right now in terms of total computational, ability available to a product. It's not extremely fast, but it is really clean and provable and safe if done really well. And so I think that it's sort of a great place to put the kind of core pieces of a lot of financial infrastructure, especially the really clean ones or the ones where it's super important that they remain private. Um, and these are sort of like real strengths of DeFi. And so what this means is increasingly we're seeing a lot of activity on decentralized exchanges where users can swap tokens for each other on decentralized borrow and lending platforms. And we're going to see this set of things grow over time, especially as new players get into the game and sort of other networks beyond just ETH grow out their decentralized offerings, obviously including the whole product suite that Tron is unveiling. And so, I think that as we see that sector grow in the decentralized space, we're also going to see that start to play a more central role in, really the entire spaces notion of token swaps and things like that. And I would expect to see, integration of, decentralized token swaps, borrow lending and interest and other things into other centralized platforms, over the next years, as we're already starting to see with centralized exchanges offering DeFi-based staking and other things. But I think there's a ton of room to grow there. And on the flip side, I think that you'll continue to see centralized systems be dominant in the spaces that are really computationally complex. And or spaces where, sort of the product needs to adapt really quickly. And so I think, the sort of deeper into the derivative space you go, the more important a centralized platform is, because it just allows you to express, substantially more complicated things way faster and sort of keep tweaking and building the platform, rapidly. And because you can do much on margin, you can use a centralized product while limiting the extent to which funds are actually stored on them to sort of the extent necessary. And so I think we're going to continue to see centralized exchanges grow out the complexity of their product offering the way that traditional finance has over time sort of massively grown out the sophistication of the set of products that it's offering. And again, I think we're going to see these start to work together, where you'll see centralized products integrating the decentralized protocols in really cool ways, and on the flip side, you'll start to see the decentralized systems listing tokenized products from centralized systems. And you're already starting to see this with USDC and other stable coins, which are very centralized tokenizations of the US dollar, become an important part of the backbone of DeFi. And I think you're going to continue to see this with tokenized derivatives like the leverage tokens that FTX offers, and ETFs that'll come out, and sort of more and more sophisticated and complex products managed by centralized services but represented by tokens, which can then be easily transacted through decentralized systems, forming a really cool bridge between the two worlds. And I think that those two core things, centralized systems integrating DeFi protocols and DeFi platforms listing tokenized products from centralized systems, are really going to work to allow someone to get sort of the best of both worlds, experiencing sort of the privacy and permissionlessness of DeFi while being able to harness the flexibility and power of centralized systems. And I think that that's going to allow the crypto space, hopefully, to continue to scale into a fuller and fuller version of what it can be, while retaining its sort of initial ethos of decentralization and privacy and permissionlessness, and really sort of compete with traditional finance on its own terms. And I think that that's all really exciting. And I'm excited to see various platforms building out these bridges over time, whether it's sort of centralized exchanges, building out support for current DeFi systems, or new platforms, new protocols, and new systems like all of the decentralized and privacy features that the Tron platform is working on right now. Rolling out, really powerful and clean, sort of protocols and support for more and more types of DeFi products, which can then make their way into the rest of the world. So anyway, we'll obviously see what happens over time, and it's hard to predict the future here. We've seen really explosive growth over the last few months of DeFi, and we'll see how that continues. But I'm excited to see, what happens here, and excited to see the role that that all of the new and major players are going to be playing in developing out this ecosystem. Anyway, thanks for listening. Thanks for having me. And I'm excited to see the future of the industry.